はい、本店。
大変です、大変です。
はい
はい、3号機、多分水上力の爆発が今起こりました。
はい。
はい、緊急連絡。
11時1分です。
11時1分。了解。緊急連絡します。
はい。
あと現場の人のは対現場の人。
全員さん、現場から電話で
緊急に関係場所にすぐに連絡して。緊急連絡。
Yeah, but all the guard station, all those buildings are torn down now.
Already?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you want to just go back there with me, Bill, while I'm here? And
Well, I gotta go.
Oh, okay.
I gotta pick up my daughter. But that, the buildings closest to us, the first ones, that's the NASA property.
White building?
Yeah, right there, the kind of the white building, and then the big giant building with the crane on top of it, that's Department of Energy. That's the nuclear buildings over there. So the nuclear work was done in those tall buildings, and then the NASA buildings are these closer buildings right there.
Yeah, they have off-site contamination. They had a lot of off-site contamination that went down into towards Brandeis Bardeen, and the way they got out of saying that they had off-site contamination is they were in a lawsuit with Brandeis Bardeen, and they bought the land that was contaminated.
Yeah, and that map is right here.
And so now they can say, oh, it never left the property. That's because they bought the contaminated property that it did leave to.
Right, so like here's the nuclear site, and then there's this a camp. It's the American Jewish University Brandeis Bardeen camp, which is right here, and they found some radioactive plutonium and some other chemicals on their property.
Mercury.
So what the polluters did, they just bought that little section of property that was polluted. So now it's on their property and not on their property.
In 1975 to 1983, I grew flowers up there, right on a very contaminated site that Bill and his friend found up there that they've since cleaned. So I've been really kind of connected with a lot of the contamination. I grew flowers for 8 years up there. I grew the flowers for floor shops. So when it all came down in 1989, I was probably more scared than they were because I had my fingers in all of it. You know, I played in the creeks. I grew the flowers right on the polluted. In the soil, 8 years. 8 years. Breathed the air. Had both my pregnancies up there. I was very nervous, and I still am. And in the meantime, in 2009, I was diagnosed with leukemia. So, and I've had thyroid surgery. So I've had stuff already happening to me.
So let's talk about what we did do in more detail. The reason I'm up here right now is my main focus of the project was conducting the gamma scanning part of the study. And initially, as most of you remember, we did a historical site assessment to look at past operations, and then we followed that up by doing quite a bit of field work. If we look at this area here, sub-area 6, for you folks that are familiar with the site, you will recognize this black tarp and this foundation as part of the SRE, or sodium reactor experiment area. These areas that have the little black circles around them are considered to be gamma radiation anomaly areas. And as you can see, there's quite a few of them here in this part of the site. The summary of this was that cesium-137, strontium-90, and plutonium-239 and 240 were detected down gradient of the sodium reactor experiment. Strontium-90 was detected down gradient of the radioactive materials handling facility. Strontium-90 was also detected at one location in the western portion of the northern buffer zone. Again, this is sediment.
So your question for the
question
of
the question
this
is
presentation is
when, well, I presume that the issues of main concern for us are going to follow now 15, 16, 17, 20 years after this. How are we going to be impacted by surface runoff, subsurface runoff, airborne particles? How are we going to be affected? My wife has had 4 cancers, maybe another operation coming up soon. I'm interested in what and how it's going to affect us, and how and to whom do we direct our attention?
and the answer to that question
Yes.
is a very simple question. Is a very simple answer. The Department of Toxic Substances Control. After we've handed off to them and completed our work in assessing the areas that we were responsible for, all that information goes to DTSC. They are the lead for the site, for all the cleanup decisions and how those things will be implemented.
But
They'll
part of
be
that question
speaking,
is, have they investigated off-site
And
the
that is-
issues that affect us?
and that is a question for them, probably for several meetings, but they will have a piece of this meeting to talk about the next steps. Some of your questions might be answered or hinted at, and they will remain afterwards to talk to you one-on-one to, continue that kind of dialogue.
Thank you.
I have some concerns about the recent study that was put out in STAR about a week and a half ago about breast cancer, and Ventura County being the highest rate of breast cancer in the state and possibly one of the highest in the nation. Are you all aware of that?
I'm not aware of it, but for the purposes of this agenda item, what we're really talking about is what we found.
Right.
So was there a question related?
Well, that's
that
what I'm
generated off
asking,
this study?
is what would be, you're the EPA, correct? You're representative of EPA, so you
Yeah.
protect the citizens. So I'm wondering, how do you think the research that you found and your data from what you found within the site would affect the breast cancer of the people living around it?
The answer to those kinds of questions, what does it mean questions, what does it mean for past, what does it mean for future, all those questions are DTSC questions which they intend to address over the course of a very long process that they're going to go through. I want to take this lady's question.
When you were doing your samples, how deep did you go?
We went to varying levels depending on what we were
Well,
trying to accomplish.
what was,
there
because
a
in
short answer
Simi
to that?
Valley, wait, there's an underground river. And so through these years, and it's a lot of years since that contamination, how much has sieved down into the ground and how far, and maybe into that underground river that affects all of Simi Valley?
Well, our soil sampling was pretty localized. The deepest samples we took were 55 feet, but I think your question is more, looking at the groundwater. And, I mean, again, as Mary described.
There's extensive groundwater assessment going on right now by DTSC, and the gentleman's name is Tom Seckington. But DTSC is going to get up here and talk in a minute, but they've been studying the groundwater at the site for many years. And looking at TCE contamination, looking at chemical contamination, as well as the radiological component. So when you're talking about underground rivers, you're probably talking more about groundwater, and that is a concern.
Yeah, because it
That is
comes
a
up through
concern.
the soil, when
Right.
it's there, and like
And
I
then-
said, in Simi Valley, I went into a nail shop the other day, and 12 young women under the age of 40 had breast cancer, who had grown up in Simi Valley. Now that's in one little
That's a lot.
spot. That's a lot.
Yeah,
I just have one more question.
You
What
know,
is
ma'am,
containing?
you've asked so many of them. Could I ask the lady who's been...
Well, I'm not finished.
and then
I
we can
wasn't
get back to you?
finished. I'm still standing up. I was not finished. I have one more question. The contaminants or the data that you found, the contaminants that you found, the radiation, cesium, uranium, whatever's on that list that was found to higher levels than what we're normally supposed to be around. What would I find, or what could I find in the water? What kinds of things can I find in the water from your data? If it were to go in the groundwater, what would I find? What would I be drinking?
I'm actually not sure about your question. You're asking if you were to pull water from your drinking water system, what would
From
you
a
see?
well in Sini,
Uh-huh.
what would it be? What kinds of things would I have in there? So that I can be a better consumer if I need some kind of filtration system, if I need to.
Again, we're not drinking water people, so we don't know what you would find in your drinking water. All we can tell you is when we did the sampling that we did, this is what we found, and what the experts have said is these contaminants tend not to be mobile. Doesn't mean that they're never, but they tend not to be mobile.
Okay.
So they're saying this is what they found in the places they found.
We don't really know very much about any health effects with the community, with the surrounding community from the environment. Most of what's known can be traced to the actual workers, the men that worked in the nuclear reactors. So there are studies done that show, that some of the work in the reactors did cause cancer for the radiological workers. But as far as the community, there aren't really too many studies that show a positive link between Santa Susana and cancer incidence.
And then Barbara was diagnosed with breast cancer. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. Holly's been diagnosed with CLL, and Marie has different health issues.
Do you think it's because of the accident?
I don't know. I mean, I've never really gone that way because I did have a grandmother who had breast cancer, so I can't say that, because she had breast cancer when she was in her 80s or 70s, it was, is that why I had it in my 40s? I don't know. I have no idea, I'm just grateful that I'm here today,
Do you know any other?
But I want them to clean up because I don't want, if it is the fact that that little girl who was drinking the baby bottle is now fighting for her life at 20, I don't want there to be other little girls or little boys that are fighting for their life. This isn't fair.
12日の朝6時10分頃サイレンが鳴って放射能が漏れてから10キロ逃げてくださいってそのままキロまま逃げたんです。その後国からも東電からも何の指示もないんですよ。私たちは太平洋側だから山に逃げたら山の方に後で聞いたら放射能の強い方に逃げたんですよね。なんでそういうことをちゃんと私たちに報告してくれなかったでしょうか。こんなことありますか、この国で。こんな辛い思いさせて誘導もしてくれない。皆さんお願いですから私たちが辛い思いをもう二度とさせたくないんです。
放射能によるその健康被害何年先か分かんないけど、もしかしたらその病気になっちゃうリスクが他の人よりも高いんじゃないかっていう。
ご覧ください。あ、堀と申しますが、松本議員はいらっしゃいますでしょうか。はい。
12日の朝2時頃ですね。
日付が変わって。
ほんで東電から第一の原発が危ないという連絡が入ったんですよ。
東京電力から。それ直接どこに入るんですか。
役場のホットラインがあるんで、そこに入ったらするんです。このホットラインもこの後で切れちゃったんですけども。
なんていう連絡が入ったんですか。
東電が危ないと。
原発が
危ない。
その時にはどういう形で危ないだけだったんですか。
危ない ですね。
どれぐらいの程度の状況だと？
それもちょっとわかんないんだけども、
とにかく危ない。
危ない。でただ、国で避難命令出てるのか出てない。でもこう今までずっとやったら崩壊熱とか、あとは水素爆発するっていうのはね、分かってたんで、とりあえずこれはもう国が避難命令かけなくても、とりあえず避難させるほかないと。一つね、ここが避難所。
ここにまず皆さん最初の
一つの避難所ね、5か所ぐらいあったから、あとここからこう来て6所ってなったの。
だいたいいです。こ
こまで来るのに、普通は30分くらいが40分くらいで来るわけ。これが5時間から3時間から8時間くらいかかった。私らで5時間くらいかかりました。
どうしてそんなにかかった？
もう道路がとりあえずいっぱいになっちゃったから。1回に何千台って車が入っちゃったんで。
道路の状況どんな様子でした？
道路はね、この道路はところどころこう地震でこう壊れたどこがあってもなんとかここが通りです。
車は数珠つなぎですか？
車はもう上りですか、南に、もう完全に数珠つながりでも全然隙間はなくて。今度電話来るわけ。川内のこう施設に障害者が取り除かれちって、でもう誰も来てくれないんだ、なんとかしてくれっつって電話入るわけよ。
誰からですか？
奈良派の住民の方、お母さん、うちの息子がここに勤務してると。でもう川内の人はみんな避難しちゃったので、迎えの車も何も来ないんだ。私ら取り残され、もう本当はみんながまさに取り残されて、もう最後になってるかな、もうここで死ぬほかないっていうような考えの人たちもかなりいたみたいですね。
国からも東電からも何の指示もないんですよ。私たちは太平洋側だから山に逃げたら山の方に、後で聞いたら放射能の強い方に逃げたんですよね。なんでそういうことをちゃんと私たちに報告してくれなかったでしょうか。それがすごい暗いですよ。
今、風向きが南南東ですので、陸地側に向かって、双葉町方向に向かって今吹いています。はい、放出についてはドライウェルからの放出になりますので、したがって要素の、放出量が桁違いに上がります。
武藤さん。はいはい。現場の作業員、うちの社員、一回こちらに退避させてよろしいですか。了解しました。退避命令出します。
被爆評価の結果、あらあらですけど出ましたので、ちょっと、お願いします。最大ポイントは、2.2 キロ先、ちょうど敷地境界あたりで、5700ミリシーベルトです。250ミリシーベルト圏内がずっと相馬郡の方まで、3時間以内に広がっていくという評価になります。
3号はやっぱりもう格納容器の閉じ込め機能が損なわれていると、1号ので3号の方はまだしっかり閉じ込められていると、こう考えるとやっぱり1号もその3号以上に厳しいんじゃないかと。
池谷さん、
吉田です。
今プレスを止めてるそうです。それで今プレスには止めてるんです、話すの。それでとにかく補給が開始されるのをじっくり見守るということにしているそうなので、その水の補給作業の状況について時々刻々 こっちに情報入れてください。それ常に官邸と共有しますから。
はい、了解。
本店側としては先ほどのからお話がありましたが、この事象に関しては官邸も保安院の方も全てをプレスに対する情報は止めていると。それに伴って事業者からの公表もやめろということで止められてきてます。すいません、先ほどのプレスに関する情報です。今保安院2社の方を確認していただきましたが、絶対にダメだというのが2社の見解で、このプレスは行うなという強い要請が指示だそうです。
本店
はい、本店
大変です、大変です。
はい、
3号機、多分水蒸気だと爆発が今起こりました。
はい、
緊急連絡。11時1分です。
11時1分、了解、緊急連絡します。
はい。
本当だね、この15の時に風がこっち方向に行ってるね。
あの日だよね。
この瞬間だよね、多分。バボが一番大きい、この瞬間に風向きがちょうどこっち方向に行ってるから、逃げた人たちが、すでにここにも逃げてた人たちが、毎日このデータを見てたら分かったことなんだよね。
そうだね。
すでにここにエバキュエーションした人たちが毎日このデータを見て、今5時でこのビジュアルが出ました、公開されました、やばいっていうのがすぐ分かるはずで、そこでその時にまた新しく判断をして違うところに移動すればいいけど、このデータは公表されなかったから
とどまってた。しかも
とどまってそうなんだよね。
避難するのがね、例えば難しい時でも風向きがこっちに出てきたから絶対に外に出るのはやめようとかいう呼びかけをして、そのちゃんと建物の中に避難をしていたりとかね、そういう判断もできるよね。
もしあの時もっとこういうデータが公開されてたら、その時の動き方が変わったのかな。こういうデータがなぜその時公開されなかったのかと、いろんな疑問があって。
最終的な判断として30キロを自宅待機というか室内にいてくださいと、こういうことになったんですね。朝までに調整しろっていうことで。
菅さんご自身はただかなり広域での避難が必要だという指摘がされてたわけですよね。
ほぼアメリカの80キロ避難と同じぐらいの範囲の避難を一周で考えたと思います。
それがどうして最終的に狭い範囲での対応にその時の議論になったんでしょうか。
そこは役所の理屈がいっぱいあって、それをクリアするのに、人命がいくらも関わることなので、全てを救いたいということですね。例えば一番簡単に言えば、30キロ圏を避難させるということは、そこにかかっている道路も実質封鎖するわけですね。
そうですね。
そこに東北自動車道があるわけです。引っかかるんですね。そうすると東北が被災地で、そこに物資を届けなきゃいけない、燃料届かなかったらみんな凍え死んじゃうかっていうタイミングでしたから、それが止まってしまいました。物資の輸送ができませんと、全部自衛隊で運ぶなんてことはできませんという話でした。
避難するとなると交通インフラがかなりそこに割かれてしまうから。
いや、交通インフラじゃなくて道路を閉鎖しなきゃいけませんから、避難させてもうその瞬間にその地域は
通れないと
閉鎖地域になる。
なるほど。
そうするとそこを通っては運べないわけですよ。そのことのリスクと、それで東北の人を救えなくなる被災地の人ことと、でも原発に近い人はできるだけ避難させたいということの間で折り合った数字が30キロ自宅待機だったんです。避難区域にはできませんと。だからその瞬間にもうとにかく抑え込むしかないんだと。
福島の子供たちの未来を誰も奪う権利はありません。 あなたはもう年だからいいけど、若い子を守ってください。どんな辛い思いして毎日過ごしているか分かりますか？どうか本当に福島の子供たちを守ってください。皆さんよろしくお願いします。
当然自分一人が行ったところで、ね、全部の作業が終わるわけないんで、そうするとこれからも絶対多くの人が関わんなきゃいけないんですよね、おそらく。そしたらなんだろう、結局現場でやる人がいなかったらあれは絶対収束しないんで、なんかその人たちの環境っていうか、良くなるようにじゃないけど、少しでも、まあ、できるだけ中の様子しっかり見ていながら収束の作業をやりつつ、でまあ中の情報をできるだけ外に出せたらなって。
23.
林さん。
こうね、渡されたのみんな見せ合うじゃないですか、周りで。
え
これみんな俺違うんだけどとか、みんな違うってなるんだけど、なんかそれを聞き返せるような雰囲気じゃなかったっていうか。
その後そっち行ってもずっと溜まっていくわけじゃない。
いや、あれは半減されますから、線量は徐々にずっと溜まってるわけじゃないんで、1週間経てばその分浴びた分は半減になりますから。8日間ね。8日で半分。半減になる。だから例えば今日1ミリになりました。そうすると次の日も1ミリになりました。そうすると2じゃないですか。でもその前に比べてる1のうち、8で割った分は下がりますから。全部蓄積じゃないですかね。累積じゃない。累積だったら俺なんか半年も入ってられないですよ。
あんな騙すような感じで人集めて1日1万円かそこらのね手当で1ヶ月も働けばもう1000両マックスですからいりませんって言われたら、その人たちはまた新しい雇用先を探さなければいけないじゃないですか。全国から集めてるんで、ね、片道3万も5万もかけてきてたらどう考えてもおかしいでしょって。まあやっぱ入ってみたりとかちょっとやってみたりとかして、どう考えてもあんなの40年やっても50年経っても終わんないだろうと。ってことはね、自分ら40年も50年もあと生きられないんでそうすると今日生まれてくるとか明日生まれてくるの誰かが行かないとあれは何ともならないんじゃないかなって。福島はもう1ワットも生み出せないんで、その1ワットも生み出せないもののために今日明日生まれてくる子たちも放射線浴びに行かないとあれは収束しない。じゃあほっとけるかって問題のものでもないじゃないですか。だから原発作ってきた人たちがね、自分らだけで作ってきた人たちだけで全部片付けられるんならいいですけど、実際できてないしできないじゃないですか。
Good evening. The world has never known a day quite like today. It faced the considerable uncertainties and dangers of the worst nuclear power plant accident of the atomic age. And the horror tonight is that it could get much worse. It is not an atomic explosion that is feared. The experts say that is impossible. But the specter was raised to perhaps the next most serious kind of nuclear catastrophe, a massive release of radioactivity. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission cited that possibility with an announcement that, while it is not likely, the potential is there for the ultimate risk of a meltdown at the 3 Mile Island atomic power plant outside Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Robert Shackney reports from Washington. According to the government's top nuclear specialist, the problem is a 15 to 20 foot wide bubble of trapped radioactive gas at the top of the damaged reactor, gas that cannot be removed. Brian Grimes, deputy director of the Division of Operating Reactors, said one of the dangers is meltdown.
The risk involved is that the gas would expand, prevent cooling of the core, that you would suffer initial core damage, and with the ultimate risk of a meltdown. That risk is real. The risk, depending on the manner in which you figure out to cope with this problem, could be real. If we determine that it is, we recommend a precautionary evacuation.
That risk is present. Why haven't you urged the evacuation of all people and not just his son?
At present, we have a very stable and nuclear safe situation.
But within 1 or 2 days, you might be in a different situation, is what you're saying.
Yes.
The staff specialists say that all their options are risky. The simplest solution, having a man open the valve to release the trapped gas, is impossible. Heat and radioactivity would kill anyone making that attempt. The experts say that the risks of catastrophic disaster are very small. A lot of less serious consequences are far more probable. But the experts say they're not absolutely sure. Robert Shapley, CBS News, Washington.
I don't know too many details about it. That was back in '79 when that happened. That's too long ago to remember.
Are you worrying about
Worrying?
Worrying about
Worry?
No.
Nah, there's no worry.
No worry.
No worry.
Well, why no worry? Is that safe?
It's still there.
Yeah.
We're still here. Right?
I haven't been living here that long, so I don't know too much about it. There's like a lot of people, like those people on the Schmitz went on vacation. They've been here for like 38 years, so. And there's like a lot of new people that live here, so not, you know, I mean, a lot of the older people remember, like a lot of people actually live in this area, work there. Like there's a guy like right down at the end of the road, he works there. We be quiet.
Do you have the concern about this? No. Why?
Because if it's really a concern, they would have done something about it. But it's really not.
Really not.
Yeah.
There is people who are against the nuclear power. Do you know?
I'm not against it because I actually like it because it's.
Are you against?
No, I'm actually for it.
I'm
for it because it's saving. It doesn't use any material that you can't use over. It doesn't pollute anything because it's just making steam and it's just using water. Water's always gonna come back around. But I'd rather have that than have coal, which that's not gonna come back for like thousands of years, or oil, or something else. This is more better than any of those.
Green.
Yeah, it's more green than.
And people can decide for themselves.
Yeah.
You can go to our website, okay?
Yeah.
And if you have concerns, we have 2 websites.
2 websites.
So anybody in the world can go to TMIA. If you go
TMIA,
to, that's
yeah.
3 Mile Island Alert, right? All right. So you go to 3 Mile Island Alert. Any question you have, we should be able to answer for you. On all 3 plants on the river, emergency planning, radiation monitoring. And then if you have questions, what we did is, and it took us a lot of time, we have documented every problem since 1979. And these are all from the government. So that any time, what we did is, we're not here to convert you, but if you want to know what's going on at your nuclear power plant, we can tell you everything that happened, and we can cross-reference it with other days when there was a similar problem. Gab, did Kelsey call you? All right. Just want to let you know she broke down. I don't know if you're able to get her or not. Yeah, well, she sent an email, so I just wanted to make sure you got it, honey. All right, okay. Anyway, I'm doing the interview here back in the house. There it is. There you go.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Oh, what is this? What does it mean?
That's 3 Mile Island.
Ah, sorry.
All right.
Yeah.
So, as the bands change in color, the cancer rate increase, okay?
Cancer?
Mm-hmm.
Ah.
So there's 3 Mile Island. There are the wind directions during the accident. So what we've done is this. Most health studies look at the area in general.
Oh.
If you just look at the area where the wind blew, which is right here, you can see the increased cancer. There were 17 plumes, 17 different releases. If you check the releases with where the cancer is, you'll find a connection between the accident and 3 Mile Island. All right, and these are cancer rates between 1981 and 1985. And the more cancers, the higher level of exposure.
Nuclear testing? はい。失礼します。
This is where the radiation monitors used to be before.
Yeah.
And that's 3 Mile Island. So there were 16 monitors, but they were all a little too close. So we decided to change the way we approach radiation monitoring, and this is what we did. Here, out there, these 5 stations, 1 million readings.
Oh, only 5 stations.
1 million readings.
Yeah.
And you can just click on anytime you want to see what the reading is. Especially after 9/11. This is potassium iodide.
Iodine.
So we've handed out 30,000 tablets, and we give them to anybody who wants them. You don't have to just be 10 miles from the plant. And then we found that this is for children.
A drink?
A drop. You want it?
One drop.
Yeah, you have to, because if you're not, you'd have to split the pill, and it's not going to work. It's also for pets. We didn't realize it, but people want it for their pets too. And I don't know if this makes sense to you, and I've said this to other Japanese. Now, in the time and age we live, people don't have a attention span. I don't want you to take this the wrong way. They don't care about us. We're 33 years ago.
Yeah.
Pretty soon they're not going to care about you either. There'll be another disaster. It'll be Haiti. It'll be a flood. It'll be a hurricane. So the important thing to remember is you will always know when the accident began. March 28th, 1979, 4 o'clock in the morning. You'll never know when it ends because it never ends. It never ends.
都会の生活に慣れた頃の思い出話であの日はなぜだか空模様を気にしていて 街の明かりはそっと僕らを灯していたんだ。何気なくそっと手を触れていたかった。僕らは思い出をそっと覗いた。ほんの少しだけでもちょっと重い。冬の景色を心に刻んで思い出して、この風に乗ってまた君に会いに行こう。僕らは思い出をそっと覗いた。ほんの少しだけでもちょっと重い。